Hi, good day, folks, and welcome to the Brik.
Personally, I've done a few 24 hours.
Social groups that we need to interact with in order to maintain our habits. So
Yourself committed and disciplined to what you want to do.
Correct.
I really like this technology. First of all, works fantastic.
It's great. And forced to admit, I was a bit skeptical on the quality of fabrication of the unit. He's a very well-respected person.
Sure.
He said that AI was going to be as disruptive to humankind as... All right, good day, folks, and welcome to the Brik episode number 2, where we secure your triathlon journey. Good to be back, Coach.
Number 2.
Number 2, yes, sir. Number 2. There you go. So again, thanks for your comments on episode number 1. Much appreciated. And keep sending these comments because this is good for us. It helps us, upgrading our formula, our recipe, and what we deliver for you. And hopefully we can help you secure your triathlon journey. But the more feedback you give us, the better content we're going to be able to generate that will benefit your triathlon journey.
Yeah, and subscribe, and we promise to bring better content.
Hey, there you go. And you know what? If you recommend or give us some, I'll say recommend or make comments on our Facebook page, which has been created by now, which is available. If you don't have it, it's we'll put it at the bottom of the screen, right, Coach?
Right. Yeah, I'll do that.
What I was gonna say is we may even invite you to our podcast.
Yeah, we would love that.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
If you want to be
Here
in studio with us in the podcast, you really want to be here. Don't forget, we're on the South Shore of Montreal.
Yeah, I was gonna say we even we'll pay for your transportation, commuting, the flight, the lodging, everything is included, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you're paying.
Yeah, of course I am. Of course I am. As long as you live on the South Shore of Montreal, right?
Yeah, as long as you live 5 minutes away from my house, we're paying for everything.
I'll come and get you. So, Coach, I'd like to follow up on the last podcast, or the one that we did, the first episode that we did like a couple of weeks back. Habits, resolution. Where do you stand? Where do you stand with your New Year's resolution?
Like I said, I decided that I was not going to talk about my New Year's resolution. I actually started before. So I'm still not ready.
Okay.
Things are going very well.
Yep.
I'm just not ready to go there.
So you had mentioned, Coach, that at the 100-day mark, you were going to say something or share something or let us know what that New Year's resolution is. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Okay, I'm counting. I do have a reminder on my calendar.
One of the things we talked about, the habits, is that I just feel that I haven't created a habit yet.
Okay.
Because it's still difficult.
Yeah.
It's still, I'm wondering if after 100 days it's still going to be that difficult. But it's still difficult. It's still working. I'm very proud of myself. And it's the promise that I made to myself. So really, but some people have guessed it already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a few people have told me, by the way, are you trying to, and yeah.
Are you trying to?
And I haven't, haven't said it publicly. They guessed it, but I didn't say it was that.
Okay, fair. And the same with my resolutions. So fast is going okay. I find it tough. At the 20th hour, I find it difficult to, because I look at, I look at the fridge, I look at the cookie jar, and I say, oh man, I wouldn't mind having one. But hey,
have you tried 36 hours?
No.
There's I forget the name of the podcast. I'll try to put it in the notes.
Okay.
There's a podcast that was done with Stephen Bartlett on the Diary of the CEO with a fast specialist, a person who specializes in fasts. That's okay. It's not a problem. It's just a beep. And that person talked about different kind of fasts. So the intermittent fasting, which a lot of people do, you eat for 8 hours, or you're allowed 8 hours, and then you fast for 16 hours. Then there's the 24 hours, and then there's the 36 hours. She goes further than that, but she actually talks about the different benefits of each, which is really interesting.
And I believe I've listened to that podcast. It was in his top 10 podcast of 2023, if I remember correctly.
Exactly.
That's it, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
we mentioned a little part of it, but it's really interesting. In fact, it's a new thing in the sense that new science. Fasting has been around for thousands of years. I mean, thousands of years. People did that before. The fast before Easter, if you're Catholic or Protestant, the fast before Easter is something that people did.
Yeah, the 40-day thing, right?
The 40-day thing,
yeah,
which was without sugar. But it
Yeah.
was actually in the beginning, people would not fast for 40 days, but they would fast for a long time.
Yeah.
People have been known, certain tribes, they do a quest or they walk for miles and miles, and they do it for 7 days before they get to this religious place, this Mecca place, and then they have their food and their drink. So it's been happening for thousands of years, but only science has just come out to tell the benefits.
Yeah, and these see benefits. Right?
Personally, I've done a few 24 hours, and what I find is, yes, if in fact it's really difficult, there's a certain part where you really get hungry and you get not nauseous but irritated. For me, it was that. But then you push through. Timing is everything.
It really is. And I need to find the right spot in my week where it fits. I've tried different days, so I'm still testing it.
I find the easiest
Yep.
is to do a late lunch at 3 or 4 in the afternoon and then go to the next day at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I find that easier. You actually get an 8 hours or 8 hours of sleep in there.
Which is a freebie, more or less, right?
And then you wake up in the morning, you're hungry a bit,
Yeah.
but then you said, I'm just going to tough it out till the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, and I
It's
still
fine.
drink coffee, tea, electrolytes throughout the day to make sure
Yeah.
I stay hydrated. So, and it gives me that boost I need, that work to stay focused and concentrate
Exactly.
on my tasks. And
I've got my dog in the studio
hey,
right now.
hey, welcome, Boston.
Yeah.
So speaking of habits, I don't know if you've listened, but you've probably, if you're listening to episode number 2, it's probably because you've listened to episode number 1, right? If not, I encourage you to watch episode number 1 and then come back here and listen to episode number 2. We talked about this lovely book. We talked about habits. And I don't know how your new habits are going, and if you're able to implement these new habits in your day-to-day life. But there's a couple of things that I'd like to bring up, which is also coming from that book, from the Atomic Habits book. It's how to, it's all about the culture and all about the behaviors that are surrounding us in order to maintain your habits. So James Clear refers to it as the social groups that we need to interact with in order to maintain our habits. So he talks to the close ones, being your friends, your family, right, that you interact with. If you're not a family of sporties, of people doing sports, well, chances are it's going to be difficult to introduce a sporting, discipline or new sports into your routine. However, there's a second option, and that option is all about, it's called the many in the book, where it talks to the group effect and the tribe.
Yeah.
And you've alluded to this several times. You've alluded to the group effect of training with a club, being part of a club, and having basically that desired behavior of yours is a normal behavior in that social group. My microphone is going crazy on me. What's going on? So that desired behavior of yours, so your new habit that you want to introduce in your life, is a normal habit in that group. And that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And you alluded to being part of a club. And I think that's very much what Clear is saying in his book, to be part of a club, train at least once a week. I've heard you say that before. At least once a week, be part of a group. See people.
A
Have that
community
show-
that is like yourself.
Bingo. Or the desired behavior that you wish to adopt or make as a new habit, then it's already a normal habit. To run every Tuesday night with a club, well, it's a normal behavior, but it's a desired behavior for you. So what you said is, so you could write a book. That's what I'm saying, Coach. Pretty much, you could make a lot of money,
Well,
right?
you want to be, the thing is that people who run
Yep.
are runners. They understand runners. It's like people who have dogs. People who have dogs understand other people who have dogs. So people who don't have dogs, when you meet somebody that has one, you go to their house, you go, oh boy, this thing is, it's in, right now our dog is walking
Yep.
around in the studio,
Yep.
but you've had a dog before. I have a dog now. We understand that part of what it is. People who do triathlons understand other triathletes. People who do Ironmans understand other Ironmans. We talk about that. You're not part of the club yet until you've done an Ironman. Well, it's just understanding what the Ironman is. You don't understand it until you've done it. So being with people that are like you is very motivating, and it helps you keep that discipline, and it helps you keep that consistency that you want to succeed.
There you
It's
go.
it's a simple formula. It doesn't work for everyone. Some people want to do things by themselves and being alone, and that's fine. But for me, sport is for life. And if you can do sport for the rest of your life, you'll live longer. I am convinced of that.
Same here.
And if being part of a community or of a club helps you continue to do that sport
Then
for
do it.
longer, that's the formula that I will encourage. If being alone, doing your thing, helps you do sport and you'll do it for a long, long time, I'm fine with that also. It's just that it's a minority of people.
It really is. There's another aspect that Lear is referring to in his book. It's the powerful aspect of it. And if I translate this to the triathlon world, is your identity, who you want to become. So you want to become an Ironman. You want to do an Ironman. You want to get to that ultimate event and do an Ironman. This is great. You can project yourself, and that may influence your habit or motivate you to do what you need to do in order to hit that prestigious status of being an Ironman.
Right.
So interesting. So hopefully these quick tips, again, from that book are helping you or will help you maintain your new habits that you introduced early this year. Have you committed to anyone for your?
Am I committed to my
yeah,
wife?
have you-
I have my
no,
wife.
no, no.
I'm committed to my wife.
Someone other than your wife. So have you committed to anyone or someone or a group? Have you committed on what you're doing, your resolutions, your objectives? Have you committed to a person? I'm not clear with my question.
No, you're not clear, but I understand what you're trying to get to. First of all,
I'm not even sure myself.
I
what I'm
think
trying to
there's
get to.
certain
I need water.
objectives
That's
that you
usually
need
because
to.
I need water.
I think there's certain objectives that you need to commit to yourself, and then you just need to hold that to that.
Yep.
And I think having someone that you're committed to, and is a good way of keeping yourself committed and disciplined to what you want to do.
Correct.
I really like the buddy system.
Yep.
All right. So we've started in our club the Orange Buddy System. I encourage any coach that coaches a club to start that. And
So what is the buddy system,
So the
Coach?
buddy system is very simple. I'm committed to Dominique Deschênes for one evening a week to go run together. Either we run together in the club program, or we run together on our own because we can't be at the club program, or we run the same day. So you're committed, say you live far from me, you're committed to doing your run that you're supposed to do. I'm committed to doing mine, and we commit to each other, as buddies to stick together and be disciplined and do our thing. I always suggest to start only with once a week. When you have an activity that's only once a week, don't you find that the weeks go by really, really quickly? Like you go from one week to another, it goes by really quickly.
It does.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, yes, I realize that it does. You're right.
So when you have an activity just once a week, it seems to be that you get to that time of the week very quickly. I find because it's part of your routine. So what I like about the once a week is kind of easy to do, and it's not a huge commitment. Once again, I don't think it's a good idea to go like 5-6 times a week. I'm going to be committed to your buddy, because your buddy's going to miss a couple of times. And what happens is when the buddy starts missing a couple of times, well, you start getting demotivated. So once a week, you're committed.
Yep.
I'm committed That's fine.
So you said it well. That's exactly where I was going with this, Coach. Thank you. Thanks for...
You're welcome. I saved you, right?
You did. You did. All right. So that being said, in a nutshell, join a culture where your desired behavior is a normal behavior. And it will make all the difference in the world. Hey, equipment testing. I'm so excited, Coach. You know what? I bought these Form goggles. And by the way, I got a good price. I got a discount. I had a $90 discount. I didn't ask for it. They just gave it to me. So $261, taxes included, free shipping.
In
Canadian
dollars.
Canadian dollars.
Okay.
And it's a Canadian company, by the way.
I did not know that.
Yes, sir. Out of BC, British Columbia. It's a Canadian company that builds, because you want it to become like the reseller in Canada.
I would have loved that. I haven't contacted them yet. I'm waiting to get all the feedback from everybody that has them.
Yep.
But honestly, usually I do not like... No, that's not true. I don't like technology that hinders the athlete's consistency. You know, sometimes people, they have a watch and their watch is not working, and they're not...
And they can't run because their watch is not working.
Yeah, it's not like,
I know.
My technology is not working, so I can't do anything.
Paralyzed.
And
there you go.
You get paralyzed. So I don't like that about technology.
Yep.
So I would just say, take your watch off and just run, because that's the point, right? This technology, first of all, works fantastic.
It's great. And forced to admit, I was a bit skeptical on the quality of fabrication of the unit, of the goggles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very impressed. Very impressed with the quality. The rubbers, the lens, things are great. And I thought that the display in one of the two lens was going to be annoying. Swimming, that I would see this all the times and I wouldn't see anything else. No, I don't see it. I need to remind myself to look at the stats or whatever metrics are being displayed. I need to remind myself to look for it when I swim. Otherwise, I don't see it.
Your first length is not like that. The first length, your eye is on the data, and you have to remember. Oh, there's a wall arriving. Okay.
No, you mentioned that to me, but I did not get that impression at all.
So you're the first person that's happened to, because everybody, without exception, that has tried it, the first few lengths, they forget to look at the wall.
Or could it be because you gave me the heads up, and maybe. My subconscious is giving me, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Is just getting me to pay attention to make sure I don't hit the wall. Maybe it is. I'm not sure.
So that's the first thing. I mean, first of all, the first time you use them, it is a display. It is in front of your eye. It's not completely in front.
No.
It's a little bit on the side.
And I wear contact lenses.
What color is it? It's yellow or green?
It's greenish.
Okay, greenish.
Greenish.
Okay.
And I wear contact lenses, and I was wondering, and sometimes seeing numbers, you're getting old, so of course it's a bit challenging, right? So, and what I realized is, I mean, it took, I don't know, 10 seconds for me to adjust, and boom, it was clear, very clear, and the display was just like perfect, like if it was made for me. I freaked out. I said, "Wow, this is amazing." So probably my vision adjusted to what I was looking at. I'm not sure, but it's good.
So what exactly are you looking at? What do you see? What kind of data do you see?
So you see, well, there's so much that you can see, right? You can see. I actually did a print screen of what you can see because there's so many metrics that you can visualize while you're swimming: your pace, stroke rate, stroke count, your DPS, split times, your time. Calories burned, and your heart rate, if you've got the additional devices that they sell, of course. You can get all of this displayed in your goggle. It's pretty amazing.
Does your watch
Yeah, you can sync it with your watch as well. But it's not now. It's not. I have not yet connected it to my watch.
Okay.
It's just that unit working on its own. When you do open water swimming, of course, you do need your watch for the GPS capability because there's no built-in GPS in this device, right? The one thing that I was very surprised with the amount of rest time that we take because as soon as you stop,
I wasn't surprised.
But you remember, like every morning when we swim and you give that swim class in the morning, you talk for I thought it was 1 minute. So giving you feedback, coach, it's not, fine. My mic again is jumping on me. It's not 1 minute. I thought it was 1 minute that you were telling us, here's what's going to happen today. We've got the technical part, the endurance part, blah, blah, blah. Here's the
Okay,
workout.
the explanation.
The explanation that you do
how
at the
long?
beginning.
3 minutes.
4, 3, 4,
Yeah, 3, 4
5
minutes.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And the amount of rest, it's kind of freaky because you look at it, then you stop, you pause, you get your gears, you get your pull buoys, you get your whatever, your fins or whatever you need, right? And then it goes, it shows you the rest time.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh man, I've been
it.
stopped for like a
love
minute.
it.
I said, okay. So
I love it.
this is, it's really good. And there's a coaching feature that exists. If you get the premium version, right, of this product, which is free, by the way, for the first year. After that, it's $19 per month. You get the head coach skills or option included. So you get live coaching on your head pitch, on your head roll, and also pacing you to perfect your technique. So the live coach will give you these tips and tricks and live coaching. As you're swimming, it will show in your display. It will give you all of it while you're swimming. Immediate instant feedback.
I love
There's
it.
nothing better.
I love it. I love it. I think that the
Great product.
the obviously it won't teach you how to do your arm strokes better,
Yeah.
to do your kick with a good timing, but the feedback it gives you it's so immediate that you can say your coach told you when you're gliding, you have a tendency to bring up your hand too much and you're not doing your catch properly and it's slowing you down.
Yep.
You'll see the effects of trying that technique immediately, saying actually it's working or it's not working. I love that.
And in line with what you just said, it gives you, they call it a form swim score. It's like any other technology. Garmin has one. They have a score and they give you, that score I'm not sure of the frequency of the formula, but sometimes every 25 meters or after 25 meter, I get a swim score. So it tells me that my head is okay, my stroke rate is okay, and then, 100 meter later, I'll get another swim score. So it gives me that feedback where
every 25 meters, that seems like a lot.
It's
seems
not
like
every
it would be
25. It
too
seems
much
to be
feedback.
random. It
Okay.
seems to be random.
Okay.
It seems to be, I've seen it at 25, 75, 100. It gives you a swim score, so it tells you that you're doing good, you're improving, or you're
I love it.
doing.
I mean,
yeah,
as
it's
a
pretty good.
coach, it makes my job so much easier because one of the things that I use is stroke rate.
Yep.
You have the live stroke rate
You do.
while you're swimming,
Yep.
which I love also. So you're one of the things that I tried to get athletes to understand is that if you increase your stroke rate and you have to get good technique, you'll actually go faster. Now, the thing is that people says, well, my stroke rate's always the same. I feel like my rhythm is always good. I feel good. And then they realize that they have either actually a much higher stroke rate than they thought they had, or a much lower stroke rate than they thought they had. So having that is interesting. You also see your speed change as soon as your stroke rate changes. So if your speed is actually going slower and you're increasing your stroke rate, you know that you're not efficient. That's something that it'll give you. The other thing is the turning your head, and there's this little dot that goes too far. So if you turn your head too far and you're looking up into the bleachers, then it automatically tells you you're turning your head too much. And this is a frustration for coaches because we tell you that your head is turning too much. You believe us. You've seen it on video. You go back in the water and you're still turning your head too much. So I really like that as a tool for coaches to improve your technique, and I recommend them. And we don't have a sponsorship from Forum. Has nothing to do. And when I recommend a product, is because I actually believe in it, and I actually think the investment is worth it because you pay a lot more for a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need on your bikes. A whole bunch of stuff that you don't need on your bikes, and you're willing to pay that money. And this is the less than an entry fee for a half Ironman.
It is. And you
I
know
love
what? No need to worry about your watch anymore when you get to,
That I love even more.
Yeah, as soon as you stop, it switches to rest mode and time starts ticking, right? It tells you you've been resting for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I know you keep telling me I talk too much sometimes at the pool. Now I see I have metrics telling me that I talk too much.
One of the things that's a pet peeve for most coaches with triathletes is they press on their watch just before they get to the wall, and it screws up their form and it screws up their technique, and you actually end up going slower anyways. And this, you don't need to do that. It stops automatic.
And for those of you that feel bad or frustrated because you lose the distance when you do a kick drill,
yes,
guess what? It tracks it.
It tracks your kick.
It does. So if you do 100 meter of kick, then it will track it. And at the end, you'll see it in your result, in your chart. It will come up as drill, but it will add up the meters. So you don't need to worry or go crazy with your
arm. So will it
stay?
You're still not a good kicker, by the way, but we actually calculated that your kick. And that's not only for Dominic. That's pretty much for all triathletes.
I agree. And just to wrap things up on the goggles, it comes in a nice case. It's got different fittings as well. Very neat, very good quality product. So far so good.
Yeah. What we don't know yet is because that was one of our things is how goggles that they fog up and all that. How long will they actually last if you use them at least a couple or 3 times a week? So that we don't know yet, but when we know, we'll come back and tell you.
We will, and so far so good. Again, very comfy goggles. Quite impressed. Good product.
Good.
All right, so that was it on the Form goggles. Coach, want to talk about artificial intelligence.
AI.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What do you know about AI?
I know a lot about AI.
Do you really?
Yes, I do.
Talk to me. What do you know about AI?
My oldest son, who's an engineer, came up it must have been at least almost a year ago, maybe more. And he said, "Have you heard about Chatgpt?"
Yeah, November 2022 is when it came out.
See, there you go. So he talked to me in January. I'm pretty sure it was January of last year. So it had been out for a month, maybe or 2 months. He said, "Have you heard of it?" And I said, "No, I haven't heard of it." And then he says, "Oh, yeah, you should try it." And so he talked to me about it. Then he left. The same day, I was on ChatGPT. I was probably one of the first over 55-year-olds on that.
Actually, you were, and I think your name was on the New York Times during that week.
And I started prompting it and asking questions, and the first thing that people will say right away is it's going to replace all your jobs. Okay, so I said, "Oh, all right." I mean, we've heard that for thousands of years. I mean, the first time a car came out, well, there'll be no more horses, and you'll have to, and everybody, "Oh my God, it's the end of the world." And then the first time the internet came out.
Yeah,
it's
early
the end
90s.
of the world,
It was going to be the end of the world.
It's every day. It's always the end of the world.
Yep.
I don't look at it that way. I look at it always like a new tool that me as a coach I can use, or me as a person or a human could use. So I was on that right away. I actually use it a lot to get ideas for creative ideas, even stuff for new things for workouts. I ask them questions. What do you think about power training and cycling? What do you think the new tendencies are going to be and stuff like that? So right now it still looks at all the data, but the thing is it's so quick at gathering the data and giving you answers that it's amazing.
So allow me to quote the president of Google. I mean, he's a very well-respected person.
Sure.
He said that AI was going to be as disruptive to humankind as electricity and fire has been.
Okay.
Have been, I should say. So that's a disruptor. That's what I call a disruptor.
But
right?
it was also very positive.
Of course, of
The
course,
invention,
of course.
finding out what was fire and using electricity
Correct,
became
correct.
something pretty positive.
And you alluded to, data and the way it crunches numbers and data in such an expedited manner. It's unbelievable to see the amount of information or data it can, consolidate, correlate, and then give you something within seconds. It's amazing. It's all about data. That's what AI is about, right? How do you think AI will disrupt? We'll start with the triathlon sport, number one, and then I'd like to get your 2 cents on how will it disrupt the coaching business. Now, I'll give you my 2 cents on how will it disrupt the business as a whole, because it will disrupt not just, what we're doing, our numbers, but it will disrupt multiple aspects of our day-to-day life. Triathlon, AI.
I used to put all my workouts on paper.
Okay.
So I would use a paper.
That was like in the 1940s, 50s, right? When you were...
Well, I did that all through the early 80s, early 90s, pretty much putting everything on paper.
Okay.
And then we started doing Excel sheets for workouts and stuff like that. And the Excel sheets was great because it would calculate the number of distance automatically, and then you could... And then, when Training Peaks came out, Training Peaks, which everybody knows, anybody who does triathlon or running or cycling knows pretty much what Training Peaks is now. And I started using Training Peaks over 15 years ago. And because it was a new tool, a new thing, and it helped me, with planning, it was fantastic. Now, I look at AI as something that will help me create workouts so much quicker. So I can create a swimming workout in 5 minutes. A 1 hour swimming workout, I can create that in 5 minutes. Chatgpt can do the same in the same 5 minutes, can create maybe 100 workouts.
If not more.
But you have to ask the right questions. So I've asked ChatGPT, I would like a marathon training plan, please, for Boston. And he'll fork out a marathon training plans. And when you look at it, it's so basic and so uninteresting that there's no creativity in it. So if you ask it different questions and you start asking, well, for a marathon a runner who runs under 3 hours and 30 minutes, who has access to hills, who is weak for running long distances, who has an injury on the left leg, and then it'll fork out more things.
The more specific you are when you prompt an engine, and by the way, folks, if you don't know what we've been talking about for the last 5 minutes, AI and ChatGPT, sorry to inform you, but you're slowing down humankind on this planet. So please get to your computer, go to chatgpt.com, or not openai.com, whatever that website is. Just put ChatGPT, Generative Pre-trained GPT. That's what it stands for. Go there and ask the engine a question and start interacting, because it will become part of our day-to-day life.
I use it for recipes.
Use it for everything.
I'll put
Coach.
in, I got an avocado, celery, and bread.
So what can I do with it?
What can I do with that? It'll fork me out stuff. But what I was trying to say is that the more creative you are as asking questions, the more good information that you'll be able to use will come out. And I think that is the key, to not be fearful of that, because you as a human are the most creative engine that has ever been invented. More creative than any AI will ever be.
And keep in mind that AI does not have any emotions. AI is a system. It's a computer, right? It correlates data.
Yeah.
So there's no feelings. There's no human touch.
And it'll always give you the best case scenario. It'll always give you the ideal answer. And in fact, your first question, how will it disrupt coaching? In fact, it will. It'll help me become a better coach for sure. What it'll never be able to create is to replace is nuance, is hearing an athlete, listening to an athlete, understanding with my experience what that athlete actually needs, with the emotion that person is feeling. So, but it'll be a fantastic tool, and it is a fantastic tool already.
It really is. It gives you, information and knowledge in a much faster fashion than, doing it yourself or on Excel spreadsheet or on a piece of paper, right?
We've come so far
And
in very little time.
I agree. In the last, 30 years, the internet came out, late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah.
Like www.something.com did not exist. I mean, and now it's on the way out. You use a mobile app. We're gonna use generative AI
Sure.
to do stuff. But yeah, we still consult websites. But
Sure.
we're
No,
not in the
mean,
same space anymore.
You will not, when you ask a question or you want to find out something,
Yep.
it will be in a talking mode. You'll talk to Alexa or Google or Siri or whatever, and you'll say, please direct me to the na-na-na-na-na, and then, something will fork out and it'll give you the recipe you need, or it'll give you the training plan you need and stuff like that. And then you say, oh, who's the best to help me out? And that's the way people will work. You won't type in questions anymore. It'll pretty much be all vocalized.
It will be speech to text. And,
So, but I
that's it, yeah.
think as a coach, if you're a coach right now, you should really be getting into all these things, because it'll actually help you be a better coach. I mean, it's not that it's made me necessarily gain more experience, but it's given me so many quicker answers that before I had to, research, I had to read a lot of books. When I started training people with power on the bike, you've been training with power. You think that power has been existed forever. It's really hasn't existed for a long time. People using power on their bikes.
It's a recent metric, yeah.
So when I started using that, I had to read dozens and dozens of books that, talked very little about it. Now I can ask, hey, what's the best way to integrate power training with my athlete who does sprint triathlon, who has a weakness for hills? And it'll fork me out ideas.
So upskilling or understanding the technology is key as a coach and as an athlete as well.
Use it.
I agree. It
use
doesn't
it.
cost. Your home won't explode. Don't worry.
No.
You can type and prompt it and ask it whatever you'd like, and get used to formulating the right prompts. So it makes a big difference. And I agree with the quality of the prompt is the big thing here.
I mean, who now uses YouTube for getting answers for all sorts of questions that you have? You want to fix your bike chain. YouTube, how do I fix a bike chain? And it forks out thousands and thousands of videos now on how to do that. So it's something that we never could do before. And I see that as a positive thing. And somebody has to create those videos.
There you go.
For you. So AI will do a lot of that stuff in the future for sure. But there'll always be that human who understands, who has used it before, who will ask different questions that they've never heard before. And that is the human creativity can only do that. That's what I think.
In the business world, we go through the same thing. It's all about creativity, right? Like you being creative with your prompt when you talk to an AI agent makes all the difference in the world.
Sure.
But, you need to adopt the technology, embrace the technology, because it will benefit you. Not just in sports, but in business as well, right? And it will allow you, and the human aspect will remain. And this is something I'm dealing with every day at work. People are afraid of this new technology. Of course they are. But my message to them is...
You're always afraid of something that you don't understand.
Well, bingo. I said, play with it. As you said, go log on, play with it, prompt it, question it. And you'll see it's not that bad. It will help you. And it's not 100% accurate. It has no emotion. So
it's given me false answers to a lot of questions.
Of course. It's called hallucination, right? That's what they call it. Yeah. They call it AI hallucination. And, the engine just goes nuts. And that's just the way. I have a loaded question for you, Coach. Do you think a coach with all of this data could be harmful to athletes or to his coaching practice. Like if you've got too much information, too much data coming up, you
Yeah.
think that the coach could be overwhelmed with what's going on if they don't know how to cope with the technology, how to deal with the technology, intake, understand. Like if they're not familiar with digital technologies such as AI and they get a whole bunch of metrics coming back or data on a given athlete, do you think that that can go wrong? Do you think that could be too much if coaches are not ready for this or
Well, I mean, it's because you have to have a little bit of intuition. So
little bit?
using
Yeah.
all this information is great,
Yep.
and then you have to decide what information that you're actually going to use to help your athlete. If you take all the information and you throw that at your athlete, there's a good chance that the athlete will just be overwhelmed by that information. It's just too much for them. Some athletes love data, some athletes hate data.
Yep.
So you're not going to fork out a whole bunch of data to an athlete that doesn't want to hear it.
And here's another example of that human touch. You need to know your athlete to understand what they like, what they don't like.
Enough.
Right? There you
I
go.
mean, I've constantly saying, you don't have to have the premium of Training Peaks to know all the data that they have, especially if you don't know what the data is telling you. So maybe you shouldn't have that. Maybe a lot of people just take the email of Training Peaks of what they have to do today and maybe tomorrow, and that's it. And they never look at the application at all. And because that's the amount of information that they want to have. And coaches are there to help you out with that. I think if you're only data driven as a coach, you'll lose a little bit of your intuition. I think intuition it helps a lot. Yeah.
So I have two quick notes or observations. I prompted Chatgpt to give me prompts as a triathlete destined to triathletes, and he gave me 45 prompts that within like seconds. He gave me 45 prompts I should be using, and I'll drop the link to these 45 prompts on our Facebook page. And it's pretty amazing as a triathlete what you should be asking the engine. So it's kind of cool. I ask it, what can you suggest me that I ask you? I'd love for my wife to do the same thing, but unfortunately that doesn't work that way, right? And second observations, I have a dream, coach, with AI.
I have a dream.
So here you go. That's
Okay.
what Martin Luther King said, right?
I have a dream.
I'd love to see my fridge content match to my Training Peaks program. That'd be amazing.
So maybe what would be interesting is that Training Peaks sends the demands of your training
Yep.
to the grocery store, and in the grocery store
it
gets
preps your order.
It gets an order
Yeah.
of what you need. So there has to be a way of saying, okay, he needs this amount of energy.
Carbs.
He is vegan and whatever. And here's what the list is. After you get the delivery of the list, it comes with recipes that they suggest you for the week for your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Or if you happen to have a fast, it won't prepare anything for that time. And then and that prints up or does just a thing that you can do the recipe for. So why not?
you're building on my
So you
dream.
wouldn't even
I
have
love
to
it.
think of what you're gonna get. You don't even know what you're gonna get.
But you're gonna get something that you like.
But eventually you're gonna have to do something.
Well, that's it.
You'll have to probably cook the food and eat it. I mean, I don't think you'll be able to just eat it unless
Well,
you get somebody to cook it for
Tesla
you.
came up with a robot that can actually bake crack an egg without breaking it.
Okay.
And cook an omelet and the Tesla robot. Look
All
it
right.
up on the internet. They came up with it. They released it last week.
Well, you've seen iRobot. Or iRobot with Will Smith a long time ago. Well, I mean,
that was a while back.
everybody had domestic robots, and they were doing everything for them.
I know.
Is that coming? For sure.
Oh, it is. I think
For
I believe
sure.
it's around the corner. Yeah.
You know, I would match that with the movie Wall-E. And Wall-E, if people get lazy, Wall-E's we're our Earth or our people will be in that movie will
Yep.
be Wall-E. Yeah. So that's the danger of AI. That's the danger of all these things doing things for you. So I think that's why humans have to have a certain amount of control. And that's why a lot of people fear AI, because a lot of the high thinkers fear it, because their fear is that, people get lazy. It says, oh, okay, well, they're doing everything for us.
Well, that's it. We've even like with the watches today, it reminds you that you need to take a deep breath. You need to stand up for 2 minutes. You need to go for a walk. You need to eat.
Yeah.
You need to drink water. Please leave me alone. It's controlling my
and
mind,
that's why I have mentioned this before. You should race sometimes without your watch.
Yep.
You should train sometimes without your watch. And the reason is you have to be able to know how your body reacts to certain conditions without your data or your watch telling you. And that's called intuition. You have to know thyself.
I agree. So interesting topic, AI. I'm sure we'll talk about it more, Coach, in the near future. All right, so Coach, interesting topic. Artificial intelligence is coming, and as a piece of advice, or in line with our mission in this podcast, folks, take time, master the tool, use it, but always check with someone. Don't take this as the answer to adjust your training, change your habits, or not change your habits, but your food, or adjust any of your elements, part of your routine. Just make sure you validate with a qualified person, right? Don't do this at home without confirming with your coach. Positive stuff coming along. Looking forward to it. AI is fun.
I think so. Like anything, any new tool, it is a tool.
Yep, it's a tool. Bingo. That brings us to the end of our second episode, Coach.
Loved it.
Hey, that was cool.
I have a prediction. I have a prediction. That last subject is polarizing. Okay? I have a prediction that we're going to have a lot of comments, positive and negative, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a kind of argument or a discussion that we absolutely must have. And I think it's if you go the way that it's the end of the world because AI is here, then
it will be the end of the world.
You're going in the wrong direction.
You are.
If you're saying I want to have nothing to do with it because it's going to be a fad, then you're also going in the wrong direction. I think just knowing.
Embrace.
Yeah, I think you have to talk about it.
Do you know what I'll do for our next episode, Coach? I'll ask Chatgpt to recommend topics and subjects. There you go.
We'll do that for the next episode. So it's going to recommend subjects, and what we'll do is we'll tell you what they recommended, and we'll actually
I'll
use
share the prompts.
Yeah, and we'll actually use those subjects for the next episode.
We will.
All right.
All
We'll
right.
do that. We'll do that like a top 3 or something like that.
So, folks,